It's very important for our success down the road. That's one of our strengths is how deep we are, and we showed that tonight. We got to get better on the defensive end. We didn't do good enough, but offensively, that's not going to be a problem for us. I don't feel like all year, so yeah, that just proved that. Well, I feel like each team just had. I don't know if it's better or worse. We just had our differences. Like this year, our depth is going to be one of our main strengths, and last year we had other strengths. So I don't know if it's a better or worse thing. I think it's just the teams are different. Yeah. Defensively, I'll say that that's going to be the key for us. Last year, when we went on our run, I think we were like top 50 in the nation or something for defensive field goal percentage. So yeah, when we play defense, we're gonna be all right. Because like I said, offensively, I don't think we're gonna have a problem. They had a lot of open shots, but they hit some tough ones as well. And I think just one of the main things is we can't hug our man. We got to get over and get on the midline, and we didn't do a good enough job of that today.
You guys are looking to change, obviously. You had 14 for 35, 40% shooting from three.
Yeah.
So what do you
I mean that's just being consistent. Just sometimes the ball doesn't bounce your way. They might get a long rebound or something like that, and they just might be in a better position. And you got to give credit to them as well. They fought. They were a scrappy team. They were a good team. But yeah, I think it's just a tribute to our consistency. We constantly. Coach always preaches that constantly go to the rim, and then body blows, and then eventually we could go for the knockout. Yeah, that's important. We try not to foul. We're big inside. We have Big Seth, he's 7 foot, and then Drake, he's 6'10". So when if they help us back there, if a guard or somebody gets in the lane, they just wall up, and then that can affect the shot. And yeah, they do a great job of that without fouling. Yeah, I'm thinking the same way I've been thinking. To just take whatever the defense give me. Some days I might have to distribute the ball. Some days I might have to score. Some days, so it just all depends. I'm not necessarily thinking to score. I'm thinking aggressive. Be aggressive because I feel like that's when I play my best, when I'm being aggressive. But that doesn't necessarily mean score.
One of those games it's necessary. I mean, you gotta break the lid on the season. And to do it at home, and it was a really nice crowd for us, and against the scrappy team. Siena Heights was really scrappy, and they shot the ball really well from three, which challenged us, which I was really happy to see. And but we kind of grinded it away. I thought we got into a rhythm about midway through the first half and settled down into it, and then it started to resemble Bronco basketball. It was 3 yards in a cloud of dust. We really shared the ball. Our defense was pretty sharp during that stretch. And then that continued into the beginning of the second half. Then we got up close to 30 or whatever it was, and I thought we lost concentration. I thought we really fell apart there for a while, and we can't allow that to happen. We're going to have to play better. Obviously, as we continue to get into, we're certainly going to have to play better on Monday night, and then next week as well. So, but overall, all the guys got in the game. That was good to see, and we're 1-0, and we move on. Yeah, well, we had at the under 12 media timeout, we had talked about what the problem was. And we had addressed that during the timeout, or during that under 12 media timeout. And then it didn't get taken care of in the next minute and a half. And so when I called the timeout, I explained to him, this is when you're not listening. You have to be able to, when we get into media timeouts, you have to understand that it's not there for water and a breather. That's part of it. But the main purpose is to make sure that we make some adjustments. Now that may not be what the media tells you during the media timeout, but for us, the main purpose is to make some adjustments, talk about the things that we're doing wrong, right, and what we're seeing, and they didn't get that taken care of at the under 12 media timeout. Yeah, it was. You know what? That was good and bad. We did defend without fouling, but there were times where we didn't defend. I didn't pick up any fouls tonight either. But because I was sitting over there, and it's hard to foul somebody if you're not guarding them. And so there were too many times they got into the paint. We didn't give enough resistance. Again, I thought we, during the stretch where we pulled away, we looked pretty good. And there was probably about, without watching the film, I'd say we played about 15 minutes of good basketball tonight. After that, there were a lot of areas. I'm going to have plenty of things to be able to complain about when we watch a film. And there were times that you're exactly right. I mean, we did defend without fouling, and we looked good in doing so. And then there were other times we didn't foul because we didn't guard. We didn't give enough resistance. Yeah, it's depth. I mean, so I was asked that in the pregame show. Somebody said that's a question I was asked is, what do you see as being a strength of the team? That's the first thing that comes to mind is our depth. We have a lot of guys that are capable of scoring. We have some good talent. Our communication level is just awful, right now on the defensive end of the floor, and that's why, again, a game like tonight is so critical because it forces you to communicate. It forces you to do some things against somebody else that you don't know exactly what they're doing. We didn't get a lot of film on these guys, and so they had played Central last night, but Central plays so different than anybody else. It was tough to get that. Their first game earlier in the week, we got and the team played all zone, so it was tough for us to scout them,
right.
And know the actions they were going to run, and normally that's kind of a different situation. So we appeared lost out there at times. So defensively, I mean, you're asking me a question about offense, and my head still goes back to defense, and so that's, and that's a, I mean, we have talent, we have talent, we have depth. We got to get on the same page defensively. Everybody, those guys that are scoring all those points that are out there, we've got to be more cohesive as a defensive unit. There's not as many, we ended up shooting 52% for the game. When you shoot 52%, there's not as many rebounds coming off, to go get. And in the other part of that is they had 19 turnovers. Okay, so there's no rebounds when you're making shots or you're forcing them into turnovers. And so that's the biggest. There was math was involved, with that as much as anything else. But there were a couple of times where we allowed them to get offensive rebounds. Wasn't overly, happy about that. They ended up with 9 offensive rebounds, for the game. Again, that's where we got squirrely, in the middle of the second half, to probably the last 3 or 4 minutes, and then we kind of got it back together a little bit. Yes, yes. Only 8 turnovers, 23-8. And so that's a good assist to turnover ratio. Thomas was 6 assists, no turnovers. There were a lot of things good that also happened tonight. And, through the first 3 games, we've been putting in our playbook, and we used maybe a quarter of it tonight, maybe even less than that. Tonight there are more things that we'll do, and so, but this was able to get everybody else involved, and Thomas, with 6 assists, I mean, he only played 23 minutes. He goes 6 of 10, 1 of 3 from 3, 3 of 4 overall, pulls down a couple of rebounds, 6 assists, no turnovers, and that's what he was, and so he's going to be, this is the most he's played in any of the 3 games, and obviously he's going to be out there, 30, 35 minutes, once we get this thing going. Defense, we need to defend better. It's going to be, these games can be a little difficult for a number of reasons, the ones that we've played. One of the biggest reasons that these games are difficult is oftentimes their power forward is more like an off guard or a small forward. When they put, you got a bunch of guys out there, their biggest guy might be 6'5" or 6'6". And so you're getting back in defensive transition and you're looking to find your man, and everybody looks the same, because they're all 6 foot to 6'4". It's like, oh, which one's the big guy? Monday night, we're not going to have any problems trying to figure out who the big guys are. South Carolina's, 7'1", 7 foot, 6'10", 6'9", 6'9", 6'8". They're huge, and so, and outstanding quickness on the guard front. So, I'm anxious to play against a really quality opponent. And we're going to get a lot of that this week. And I think that's going to, like last year when we went to Charleston, and Villanova, and we played some quality teams. We're going to deal with the same thing next week. And so I'm really looking forward to getting that started.
Have a safe trip.
Okay, thanks. Fight on.